What if your entire life, every sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch, what if it was nothing but computer code running on a massive virtual reality system? Would you continue to live the same way you do now, or would you try to break free? We hear about this concept in many science fiction stories, but it's also explored by scientists and philosophers. It turns out that this question has been pondered by humans for thousands of years. This is Plato's cave allegory. A group of people are chained in a cave facing a blank wall. They've been there so long they've forgotten anything else exists. The only light comes from a fire. Behind them and between the fire and the wall, a flat road stretches out towards the outside world. One day a prisoner breaks his chains and steps out into the sunlight. At first he's blinded, but his eyes soon adjust and he realizes the outside world is far bigger and more vibrant than the cave. He wants to go back and tell the others, but they don't believe him. They think he's lost his mind. To them, the shadows on the wall are reality, and the man who escaped is a raving lunatic. Ancient Greeks used this story to illustrate the human condition. Because most people are ignorant and live in a world of appearances rather than true reality. But the cave is also a metaphor for the limits of our knowledge. For all we know, this could be the only reality. It could be the base reality, the original, the one that's real. Or maybe it's just another simulation. If you were born and raised inside the cave, wouldn't you think the shadows on the wall were real? You'd have no other frame of reference. You'd assume the cave was the entire world. In fact, this is exactly what happens to some animals. If you take a fish out of water, it will die. If you take a bird out of its cage, it won't survive either. Their entire world is their immediate environment, so they can't imagine there's anything else. But what if we're not in the base reality? What if we're in a simulation? This is a version of simulation theory proposed by the philosopher Nick Bostrom. If a civilization is advanced enough, let's say they can simulate entire universes and populate them with conscious beings, then there should be more simulated worlds than real ones. Why? Because it would take quite a bit of computing power to simulate a universe full of people, but not that much to simulate one person. In other words, you could run a whole bunch of simulations for the price of one reality. So any sufficiently advanced civilization would probably do it. And if it's possible, it's probable. Statistically, there are probably as many simulations as their creators, if not more. So, if we're in a simulation, it's probably because we're not the advanced civilization. We're the NPCs. Here's why. You know how, in a computer game, you can't change the rules. No matter how hard you try, you can't make a ball bounce upwards forever, or turn an enemy into a frog. You're stuck with the rules set by the programmer. Same thing with this reality. Every atom follows the same rules. Gravity pulls things down. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. These rules are fixed and measurable, but they're also arbitrary. They could have been different. They're simply the rules of the game. These rules or laws of nature were once written down by scientists in the 17th century, but the deeper we look, the more we find that they're actually built on top of something else, something even stranger. This is quantum mechanics. When you look at particles, they seem to exist in multiple states at once, like a coin spinning in the air before it lands. But the moment you observe or measure these particles, their wave function collapses. They instantly render into a single state. This is similar to how computer graphics work. Each frame is rendered separately, but together they form the movie you see. In other words, reality appears to be made of discrete frames, each of which is rendered based on the laws of physics. So if you're inside a simulation, you're unlikely to notice. It would be very difficult to detect glitches in the matrix. But here's something that seems even stranger. Your brain is already a reality simulator. It takes visual signals from your eyes, auditory signals from your ears, tactile signals from your skin, olfactory signals from your nose, and gustatory signals from your tongue. Then it assembles this information into a model of the world. Everything you see, touch, smell, taste, or hear is nothing but electrical impulses in your brain. In fact, your brain creates a model of the world without you realizing it. That means you never directly experience reality. You only experience your brain's interpretation of reality. So, if we're in a simulation, you're in a nested simulation. You're 2 layers removed from the base reality. And if we're not in a simulation, well, you're still 2 layers removed from the base reality. You only experience your brain's interpretation of reality. Now, some people might ask, doesn't this mean nothing is real? Well, yes. If you reject the idea that your brain creates a model of reality, then nothing is real. That's called solipsism. But it's an extremely self-centered view. What about everyone else? Are they real? What about the chair you're sitting on? Is that real? Here's the thing. Your brain creates a model of reality so you can interact with it. So, while it's true that you don't directly experience reality, you don't need to. That's not the point. You experience your brain's model of reality, and that's good enough. If you want to go deeper, Eastern philosophy explores this idea further. In Hinduism, for example, the material world is an illusion called Maya. The word Maya means magic show. Just like a magician creates an appearance of reality, the material world we experience is an illusion that obscures our true nature. The purpose of life is to wake up and realize this. Once you do, you can break free of suffering. It's a similar idea in Buddhism. Life is a dream. It feels real while you're living it, but it's not real. In Sanskrit, the word for reality is samvad, which means suckness. It refers to the ultimate truth, which can only be realized through meditation. So whether we're in a simulation or not, it's important to pay attention to what's happening in front of us, to be fully engaged in this world. Yes, everything we see is created by our brain, but that doesn't mean it's not real. It's still beautiful. It still hurts. It's still worth living. There are people who think escaping this world is possible, who spend their lives searching for a way out. But if we're really in a simulation, then we're not going to find an exit. There's no such thing as outside the simulation, unless the programmers left a back door. So, if we're in a simulation, that raises another question. What's it for? How do we escape it? Maybe the point isn't to escape at all. Maybe it's to live. You could argue that if this is a video game, the purpose is to win it. You might think that this would require beating the final boss or collecting all the coins. But that's not what video games are about. They're about playing them. The purpose of a video game is to play the video game, to enjoy it, to immerse yourself in it. The same could be true of life. You might think that being kind to each other makes no sense if we read just characters in a video game, but that's wrong. Being kind to each other is what makes the game worth playing. It's the whole point. It's what gives meaning to the game. So whether we're living in the real world or a cosmic experiment, it doesn't matter as much as how we live. Now you have to choose. Are we living in the real world or a cosmic experiment? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. Thanks for watching.